Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight, the latest on the search for a plane that crashed on its way to New Providence. Plus, former Cabinet Minister Bradley Roberts is laid to rest. And 2 men charged in connection with a recent drug bust.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Jared Higgs. Topping news tonight, the search for 2 passengers on board an ill-fated flight from Florida to Nassau has been suspended for the night. U.S. Coast Guard choppers, as well as Defense Force and Police Force vessels, have been scouring waters off Nirvana Beach along northwestern New Providence since last night as anxious family members and friends hold on to hope. Kyle Joaquin has been following the story and filed this report.
Jared, this is obviously a hard pill for these families to swallow. Crews searched this general area since 10 p.m. last night and again into this morning in hopes of finding any survivors. 34-year-old BYRON Ferguson, a father of 2 and beloved husband and son, is among 2 people feared missing after an Aztec 6-seater aircraft crashed in waters off Nassau last night. The flight, coming from Palm Beach County Park in Florida, went missing 1.5 miles from the shore. Last night, as news spread of the crash, Nirvana Beach became littered with Ferguson's family and friends, eager to get any sort of news. But as an investigation continues into what could have brought the plane down, operations investigator for the Air Accident Investigation Department, Kendall Dorsett, told reporters Ferguson, the pilot, had signaled that there was trouble.
The pilot had contacted air traffic control prior, and he advised that he was experiencing some technical difficulties.
Moments later, the aircraft would fall off the radar. Defense Force Marines got to the wreckage just moments after the incident occurred and were able to spot a portion of the plane out of the water.
They were actually, they initially sighted the aircraft after arriving in the general area. And once they identified a portion of the airplane that was still above the surface, they directed their efforts toward that. However, sometime shortly thereafter, that aircraft sunk.
AIRWING Commander SHONE PINDER of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force explained why divers weren't dispatched during the search last night.
Also bear in mind it was late into the evening. It was very dark out here last night, little to no lighting. A lot of things going on, a lot of moving parts, a lot of coordination attempting to be made. But our units got here within 10 to 15 minutes of the call.
Last night's search ended about 1 this morning. Then, when crews returned at sunrise, according to Assistant Commissioner Delaveau, they realized the part of the plane they located last night was gone.
They had coordinates. My understanding is that they checked the coordinates that they had last night. They checked it this morning to discover that the plane was no longer in that position. Now, you know that there's the tides would usually, that comes in and out, would usually take anything that is in its path out, and so it may have been taken to a different area.
Ferguson's family and friends sat in the sand awaiting any news they could get from search teams. They were there all day with friends, going in their own boats to help with the search. When we spoke with ACP Delaveau earlier, he had said the police force, defense force, as well as the U.S. Coast Guard, which has been helping, would end their joint search effort at sunset.
And so we'll continue to search. We'll continue to search as long as necessary. We'll go until sunset this evening, till dark fall. And then tomorrow again, we'll resume search. We want to bring some relief to the family members of the persons who were in that aircraft.
As family and friends hold on to hope, we asked the Assistant Commissioner for the latest in their investigation.
I think we're in the recovery stage now. It's fair to say, it's been almost 24 hours. It's highly unlikely that this time, you will find anyone, if they're in that plane, alive, because the plane obviously submerged in water.
The search continues. For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Thanks, Kyle. As morning set in, the overnight search for the wreckage and pilot involved a much larger effort, now with the aid of sunlight. Still a search and recovery effort. Colleagues and friends of the missing pilot joined in, hoping to help in whatever way they could. Jerome Sawyer was on board one of the search aircraft.
Michael, put him at 1,500 feet just to get him low.
Thank you, we appreciate that.
Okay. Just clarity, stand by one, stand by.
Daybreak Friday,
ANTHINIQUEKO GIBSON pilots his aircraft within a 5 to 6 mile radius of the island, just within the legal altitude, as close to the sea surface as possible, looking for any signs of a wreckage or pilot. On board are colleagues who have volunteered for the search effort. A few years ago, Gibson piloted an ill-fated flight, now hoping to rescue a colleague in distress.
All of us out here, we fly together, we work together, we know everybody by name. You know, it's a big family. If it was me again, I would want somebody to come and take a look at least, you know, make the effort. I think that's more or less what it is. You know, I know what it is to have the family wondering and worrying about where you are and, you know, what's going on. So I just wanted to play my part.
In the cabin, Kwame Russell, an off-duty air traffic controller, searches from the rear. He joined the volunteer search party after an overnight shift, hoping to bring another layer of expertise to the effort.
I'm out here with a group of pilots, and all of us are close friends. And so we're doing this on our own in hopes to find him.
We kind of went out and kind of simulated what we thought the pilot would have done, based on the information that we were given from air traffic control, BYRON, coordinating with everybody there.
The search involves the flight path and final approach the pilot may have taken. And it is by no means a random search. The expertise these men bring to this mission provides more focus and relevance.
We kind of worked a 15 to 17 mile grid to the northwest and just tried to simulate what he would do, what all of us would have probably done. And you know, we came up short, but at least we gave it our effort.
The sun rose about 6:22, so I guess we got airborne about 10 minutes ago. The reason why we would do it in the day, again, the sun is high, and we're actually looking for anything that's floating. You know, he could have still have on his life jacket.
As the day progresses, we suspect there will be similar searches to this as colleagues and friends fan out looking for any information to provide some clues into what could have happened to the inbound Piper Aztec from Florida. Reporting for our news, I'm Jerome Sawyer.
Thank you, Jerome. Former Cabinet Minister Bradley Roberts was laid to rest today following an official funeral at St. Francis Xavier Cathedral. Hundreds of Bahamians turned up, including politicians from both sides of the political divide, to say their final farewell. He was laid to rest in a place that was like a second home to him. Friends, family, colleagues, and supporters turned out in droves at St. Francis Xavier Catholic Church to pay their final respects to the former Member of Parliament. First elected to the House of Assembly in 1982, Roberts, a devout Catholic, spent 40 years in politics, 25 of those as a Member of Parliament. Despite his strong political convictions, the church's rector, Father Glenn Nixon, says he always knew where and when he would see Roberts.
Bradley fed his soul on the divine word weekly, every Sunday. When he was not traveling, he could be found at the 8:30 a.m. Mass, which was his favorite Mass, humbly taking a seat near the back bench. He would leave Mass early, just before the announcement, not to trivialize his faith or to be disrespectful of it, but to simply avoid being inundated Sunday after Sunday by those who sought his help.
Governor General Dame Marguerite Pinling, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis, former Prime Minister Perry Christie, cabinet ministers of past and present, and many more, filled the church's halls. Roberts' wife of 53 years, Heartlyn, was inconsolable.
The pain you now feel does not mean you are too weak. It means that what you shared with Bradley as a family or friend was real and authentic. He touched your lives and you touched his. In this moment of pain and sadness, we can all turn to strong drink and despair. Or we can turn to God, our Father, and renew our faith in Jesus Christ, who is the resurrection.
Affectionately known as Big Bad Brad, Roberts is widely remembered as a firebrand politician whose bombshell revelations in Parliament shook the country's political landscape. After serving as leader of opposition business for most of the 1990s, Roberts was elected chairman of the Progressive Liberal Party in the year 2000. He later served as chairman a second time, a post he would hold until October of last year. Following the PLP's election victory in 2002, he was appointed Minister of Works. He also served as Minister of Immigration.
I confess, I am not worthy to tell the story of his political legacy. I will leave that honor for his political colleagues who have already opened the treasure chest of memories. However, commentaries that only focus on the life of Mr. Bradley Roberts through the lens of party politics risk not discovering his deeper convictions that gave him strength, and hope. Convictions that oblige Bradley to look beyond this world into the next. One such conviction was his Catholic faith.
Roberts is also remembered as a successful businessman. He spent 37 years as a senior executive in the beverage industry and served as a director of several companies, including Sunshine Holdings Company Limited. Nixon says not only was Roberts successful, but he was generous too.
And he continued to help people to the very end of his life, to the very end of his days. I recall the day when Dr. Neary fell in his home and injured his neck. After being called by Mrs. Neary, Bradley waited with Dr. Neary for some 2 hours until the ambulance arrived. Dr. Neary is presently in recovery, thanks to God and the swift actions of Mrs. Neary and Bradley. Personally, I remember one Christmas when Bradley came up to me and said, "Merry Christmas, Father." He grabbed my hand and stuck a piece of paper in it. I placed it in my pocket, thinking it was some written note about my homily. But later on, I discovered it was a $100 bill. That was a good Christmas indeed. He was a very generous man.
Roberts died suddenly at his Western New Providence home last month. He is survived by his wife, Heartland, 4 children, and 5 grandchildren. He was 74 years old. Meanwhile, 57-year-old Leland Curling and 47-year-old Michael Knowles Major were brought before the magistrate's court on 2 drug-related charges. According to police reports on Tuesday, November 6, officers intercepted a 15-foot gray and black skiff 15 miles south of New Providence. Officers said the men threw 2 bags into the water. When recovered, the bags were found to contain 90 pounds of marijuana valued at $90,000. The pair was charged with conspiracy to possess dangerous drugs with intent to supply and possession of dangerous drugs with intent to supply. The men pleaded not guilty to the charges. Curling and Knowles Major were represented by Dion Smith and Alex Morley and will return to court on February 12th of 2019. It's been 1 year since the Prime Minister announced proposed changes to the citizenship law. While that announcement garnered mixed emotions 1 year later, there's still no change. Gillian Gray reports.
On November 2, 2017, Dr. Hubert Minnis told Parliament that the law would be amended to ensure that all children born to Bahamian women, single or married, out of the Bahamas are automatically Bahamians. This announcement sparked criticism and support. However, 1 year later, still no definitive steps to make this a reality. PLP Chairman Fred Mitchell said again the Minnis administration has made an empty promise.
It's easy to say a lot of things, but these things have to be drafted. The proposals have to be discussed and specifically vetted. And so governing is simply not easy. And I suspect that's what they found out. But, you know, lambs stew in their own fat.
The Christie administration sought to enact a constitutional amendment to address this issue, but the 2016 referendum failed. One of the constitutional amendment bills sought to give a child born outside of the Bahamas to a married Bahamian-born mother and non-Bahamian father the same automatic right to Bahamian citizenship that the Constitution already gives to a child born outside of the Bahamas to a married Bahamian-born father and a non-Bahamian mother. Back then, Dr. Minnis voted in favor of the bills when presented to Parliament. However, he encouraged persons to vote their conscience during the lead-up to the referendum vote. Mitchell said Dr. Minnis was playing politics.
this is a man who promised he would support the referendum and then jumped up and told people to vote their conscience. So he was trying to be clever by half and then telling their supporters, don't support it, don't support it. They were in fact playing politics, and that's fine. That's what happens if you're a politician, you play politics. So it's our job to point out the hypocrisy of that.
The former Foreign Affairs Minister said equality for women as it relates to the citizenship law is still a major priority, adding that he's concerned about the length of time the current process takes.
We left in place the policy that the children of Bahamian women, wherever they're born, would become Bahamian citizens by registration, so they can simply speed up the process. I'm more interested in what they're doing to do that, because the procedures are still too slow. It's taking too long for applications to go through.
Back in April, Attorney General Carl Bethel said the Minnis administration has not forgotten its promise to amend the law as it relates to the provision of citizenship to children born outside of the Bahamas to Bahamians. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
Still to come on Our News, why a former chamber chairman is defending BPL service. Stay tuned.